All right, I need you to just picture this. It's the mid-2010s. The internet, once a novelty, has fully woven itself into the fabric of daily life. For millions, social media isn't just a platform, it's a window to the world, a place to share moments, connect with friends, and discover new interests. This was the vibrant digital world of Chloe Davis, a fictional name for this narrative. Chloe was a typical young woman, active on various social platforms, sharing photos of her travels, connecting with college friends, occasionally posting about her hobbies like hiking and art. Her online presence was normal, open, and utterly unremarkable, just like countless others. It began subtly with a new follower request on her Instagram from a user calling themselves The Observer. Their profile was sparse, just a generic avatar and no posts. Chloe, thinking nothing of it, accepted. Soon after, The Observer started leaving flattering comments on her photos, always polite, often specific, showing a keen interest in her art or her travel destinations. "That hike looks incredible, what a view," or "Your brushstrokes are so unique." At first, it was a little flattering, a small ego boost from an unknown admirer. In the vastness of the internet, it felt harmless, even a bit impersonal. The comments quickly escalated to direct messages. The Observer would ask about her day, inquire about her art projects, or offer overly effusive compliments on her latest posts. Chloe responded occasionally, thinking it was just a persistent fan. She'd offer polite, short replies, trying to maintain a friendly but distant boundary. Yet, The Observer seemed to pick up on every detail she posted, no matter how fleeting. If she mentioned grabbing coffee at a new cafe, a message would soon follow. "Hope the coffee was good at cafe name." This rapid escalation, this overfamiliarity with details she hadn't explicitly shared, began to feel less like admiration and more like something unsettling. The compliments started to feel less charming and more intense, almost possessive. Even when Chloe tried to pull back, responding less frequently or briefly, the messages would persist, sometimes with a subtle shift in tone, a hint of disappointment or an almost entitled expectation of a reply. It was a gradual, almost imperceptible slide from harmless online interaction to a profoundly creepy and uncomfortable digital obsession. The digital shadow had just begun to fall, its true, terrifying form yet to be revealed. The subtle shifts in the Observer's online behavior quickly escalated from uncomfortable to truly alarming. What began as flattering comments rapidly morphed into an intense, almost suffocating obsession. Chloe's social media feeds were now flooded with messages, not just on her posts, but commenting on old pictures, sending direct messages at all hours, demanding her attention. The tone had curdled from admiration to an unnerving sense of entitlement, sometimes laced with a passive-aggressive disappointment if she didn't reply immediately. This was no longer an admirer, this was a digital captor. The Observer began to demonstrate a chilling ability to gather information about Chloe's life, far beyond what was publicly shared. They'd mention the specific coffee shop she frequented, a new park she visited for a run, or even details about her family members that could only be pieced together from deep online digging or subtle hints in her background photos. This digital invasion felt like a violation. Messages would pop up, referencing her new art class before she'd even formally announced it, or asking about a specific friend she had just met for lunch. It was a clear sign that the Observer wasn't just observing her public posts. They were meticulously doxing her, building a detailed profile of her life, piece by terrifying piece. The digital harassment wasn't confined to Chloe's inbox. Friends and even family members began receiving strange, anonymous messages referencing Chloe, sometimes subtly questioning her character, other times just unnervingly specific about her activities. There were instances where her workplace received anonymous, unsettling emails about her, causing awkward questions from her superiors. Unwanted packages, seemingly innocuous but deeply unsettling, would occasionally arrive at her apartment, addressed to her, with no return sender. These were indirect, yet undeniable, manifestations of the Observer's digital obsession bleeding into her physical world, a constant, nagging presence that felt like a phantom limb. Chloe, increasingly terrified, tried desperately to break free. She blocked the Observer on every platform, changed her usernames, tightened her privacy settings, and even temporarily deactivated some accounts. but these efforts only seemed to fuel the stalker's rage and persistence. New accounts under different names would pop up, immediately finding her, often with more aggressive or accusatory messages. "Why are you ignoring me, Chloe? You can't hide from me." The digital world, once a place of connection and freedom, had become a terrifying, inescapable digital prison. Chloe felt hunted, watched, and utterly helpless, trapped in a strange, dark, mysterious nightmare, with a stalker who knew too much and was getting too close. The constant barrage of messages, the uncanny knowledge of her daily life, and the unsettling gifts had already eroded Chloe's sense of safety. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared her for the moment the digital shadow finally stepped into the light. The virtual threat became terrifyingly real. It started subtly. One afternoon, as Chloe left her art class, she saw a familiar, sparse profile picture from the Observer's now blocked accounts, edited onto a crude flyer stuck to a lamppost just down the street. It advertised a fake art show, featuring her work, with her address listed. Her stomach dropped. It was a clear, undeniable message. He knew where she lived. Then came the physical manifestations that left no room for doubt. She started noticing a particular car, a dark sedan, parked a few blocks from her apartment building at odd hours. Sometimes she'd catch a glimpse of a figure, obscured by a hat or hoodie across the street, seemingly looking in her direction. Leaving her workplace, she'd occasionally see the same individual, casually leaning against the wall, their eyes seeming to follow her. These weren't coincidences. They were meticulously planned appearances, designed to instill fear. The Observer wasn't just online, he was here. The visceral terror was overwhelming. Every shadow became a threat, every stranger a potential stalker. Chloe tried to get help. She went to the police, armed with screenshots of the messages, the unsettling posts, and her detailed log of the car and the figure she'd seen. But law enforcement, constrained by legal thresholds, found their hands tied. "There's no physical harm yet," she was told. "It's online harassment, but he hasn't directly threatened you with violence or forced entry." This left Chloe feeling completely unprotected, a target moving through the world with an invisible bullseye on her back. The stalker, emboldened by her apparent inability to stop him, grew bolder. Chloe's car was vandalized. A single, deep scratch etched down the side, seemingly random but sending a clear message. Disturbing, anonymous letters began arriving in her mailbox, filled with details of her routines and chilling declarations of obsession. Her once safe apartment now felt like a glass cage, every window a potential viewpoint for the Observer. She slept with lights on, jumped at every sound, and found herself withdrawing from friends, paralyzed by paranoia. The digital boundary had been violently breached. The creepy online admirer was now a tangible, terrifying presence. And Chloe was living a waking horror story, every moment a countdown to when the lurking shadow would finally, violently reach out and grab her. The constant fear, the feeling of being watched, and the police's inability to intervene effectively had pushed Chloe to her breaking point. She had taken every precaution she could think of, moved to a new apartment, changed her phone number, and drastically limited her online presence. But it wasn't enough. The digital shadow had learned her new address, her new routine. The creepy cat-and-mouse game was about to reach its terrifying climax. One evening, as Chloe returned home from work, the air felt heavier. The silence in her new, supposedly safe neighborhood felt oppressive. She fumbled with her keys, a sense of unease prickling at her skin. Just as she pushed open her apartment door, a figure lunged from the shadows. It was him, the Observer, his face contorted with a terrifying mix of rage and obsession. He had been waiting, patiently, like a predator stalking its prey. What followed was a horrifying blur, a struggle, desperate and visceral. Chloe fought with every ounce of strength she had, screaming for help, her mind a whirlwind of terror. The attack wasn't about theft or random violence, it was about control, a warped and twisted manifestation of his digital obsession. He had desired her attention, her connection, and when she withheld it, his perverse sense of entitlement had metastasized into a desire to possess her, utterly and completely. Fortunately, a sharp-eared neighbor, alerted by Chloe's screams, immediately called 911. Within minutes, police cars swarmed the building. The stalker, caught in the act, was apprehended after a brief struggle. Chloe, bruised, battered, and utterly traumatized, was rushed to the hospital. She had survived the physical assault, but the psychological wounds were profound, the emotional scars likely permanent. Upon his arrest, the observer was identified as Mark Jensen, a fictional name. He was, chillingly, just an ordinary-looking man, unremarkable in every way, who worked a mundane office job. He had no prior criminal record, no history of violence, at least not one known to authorities. His motive, as later extracted by detectives, was a chilling testament to the modern digital age, a deeply pathological obsession fueled by online anonymity, perceived rejection, and a complete detachment from the reality of another person's boundaries. He believed Chloe owed him her attention, her affection, her very being, simply because he had chosen to admire her online. The violent eruption had exacted a devastating toll. Chloe's life was irrevocably shattered, a grim testament to the fact that the line between the virtual world and real-life danger can be terrifyingly thin. This wasn't just a horror story. It was a profound, modern true story of how digital obsession can metastasize into physical violence, forever changing the lives it touches and leaving a chilling mystery about the depths of human delusion. Chloe Davis survived the physical assault, but the journey to recovery was, and remains, a long and arduous one. The visible bruises healed, but the invisible scars of profound psychological trauma lingered. The constant paranoia, the deep-seated fear of public spaces, and the struggle to regain a sense of safety were battles fought daily. Chloe, now a survivor, channeled her pain into advocacy, bravely sharing her true story to warn others about the insidious dangers lurking in the digital realm. Her experience became a stark, chilling reminder of the very real consequences of online obsession. The case of Mark Jensen, the observer, underscored the complex legal challenges inherent in prosecuting cyberstalking that escalates to real-life violence. Proving intent and linking seemingly disparate online actions to a physical attack often requires immense investigative resources and specialized legal expertise. Laws continually struggle to keep pace with the rapid evolution of digital threats, highlighting the need for more robust legislation and swifter intervention protocols to protect victims before the virtual threat becomes a physical one. This harrowing case, and others like it, drove home the critical importance of online safety education. It became glaringly clear that what we share online, no matter how innocuous it seems, forms a digital footprint, a potential hunting ground for those with malicious intent. Experts began to emphasize stricter privacy settings, exercising extreme caution with friend requests from strangers, being wary of overly flattering or persistent online interactions, and recognizing the early red flags of obsessive behavior. The message was clear. In an increasingly connected world, digital vigilance is no longer optional. The internet, while a powerful tool for connection and information, revealed its dark underbelly in cases like Chloe's. It provides a veil of anonymity that can embolden individuals to act on dangerous obsessions, allowing them to gather personal details and foster a warped sense of connection without real-world accountability. The ease with which a casual online interaction can metastasize into a creepy, all-consuming fixation and ultimately a violent confrontation remains a chilling mystery of the modern age. The story of Chloe Davis and the Observer serves as a powerful, unsettling warning. It is a testament to the fact that the line between the virtual and the physical can be terrifyingly thin, and the most strange, dark, and mysterious threats can emerge from behind a screen. As we navigate our digital lives, understanding and acknowledging the potential for this digital shadow to turn real is no longer a cautionary tale. It is a crucial, vital lesson in self-preservation.